Hello, and welcome to EllieMD's live educational series. We're so glad you're here as we continue our mission to empower healthier, longer lives through education, innovation, and community. At EllieMD, we go beyond telehealth to bring you expert-led conversations that inspire informed whole body wellness. Today, we are thrilled to welcome Katie Linden, a holistic nutritionist and therapeutic wellness coach with a deeply integrative approach to healing. With a background in exercise science and nutrition and clinical social work, Katie brings a unique blend of expertise in both physical and emotional health. Her personal health and fertility journey led her to specialize in the gut-brain connection, mineral balancing, and functional lab testing, helping clients optimize energy, hormone health, and full body vitality from the inside out. Through individualized nutrition programs, educational workshops, and holistic coaching, Katie empowers her clients to create lasting change in both mind and body. Katie, welcome. We're so excited to have you here tonight. I particularly am so excited to learn from you because this is a subject I don't know too much about. So welcome. We are happy to have you. Brenda, can we unmute Katie, please?
Oh, sorry. I had unmuted and mute myself. So sorry about that. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, amazing. So let's just start with the bare bones, the basics, okay? Mineral balance. What does it mean? Why is it here?
Yeah, minerals are the unsung hero. So we think about vitamins and supplements and peptides in this case, but what we don't often think about is minerals. And I know I didn't for years. I've been in this health and wellness industry for quite a long time. And I've, in the last 3 years, been trained in testing for minerals, which is really better done in hair than blood, which is an interesting thing. But what it is we have our four core minerals: calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium. And if they are out of balance or depleted, nothing works very well in the body. For example, there's a sodium and potassium pump on every cell. And if that pump isn't working well to open the cell up, to let things in, to let things come out, then we can be taking amazing supplements, eating amazing food, doing amazing things, but nothing's really working very well. And this is, I think, as we get older and we go through significant stress or illness, our minerals get more depleted. We have to constantly replenish minerals. This is why there's an electrolyte phase, which is good, but it's done a little incorrectly, although there's good intention. So minerals are the spark plugs for life and for the cellular energy in each cell. So even if we're doing things, taking charge of our health and using a GLP-1, we have to be mindful about what's happening on that cellular level, because when those get depleted, that's when you start to see more chronic disease creep in, or all of those like, well, my labs look good, but I don't feel good. You know what I mean? And that's a real common one. And that's why I love using the hair tissue mineral analysis, because hair actually holds, if you take about 2 inches from the root, just a little bit, a teaspoon of hair. It's not a lot. People always freak out about that. And yes, if you dye your hair, it's okay. We just wait for a little bit of growth. And we cut off the dyed part, but it shows about 2 to 3 months of your biology. So it shows the pattern. And hair is a soft tissue where things get excreted. Blood captures a moment in time, and our blood is tightly regulated. It'll leach minerals to keep the pH of your blood where it should be so we can continue living. So, it's the minerals that are not used. So I can see, look at someone's test, and for example, magnesium will be sky high in a test. So I know they're supplementing with it, but it is not getting in their cell. So magnesium is 99% intercellular. It should be in the cell. So that means also when you're testing blood, it's not the best marker. Sometimes some things are better in blood, like iron and lead and things like that. But the other minerals are really better to see in hair. So that's the little primer of why I use it. It's a great place to see minerals and also heavy metals. And I can see certain ratios, and I can talk about, like, for example, hormones. Everyone's always interested in hormones and how they're fueled by minerals, but certain minerals interact together to facilitate our hormone production. So if certain minerals are low or out of balance, it enables us through the hair test, through minerals, to see your nervous system regulation, your adrenal glands, the vitality, the energy a cell has, your blood sugar, infection, and hormone ratios. So I can see quite a lot just through the hair, that's why I love the test.
Oh my God. Okay, so I have like 10 questions already just with
No problem.
so let's stay on the basics and then I'll dive in because talking about minerals acting together, I have a whole set of questions for that. But
Sure.
at the bare basics, so let's say I haven't gotten a blood test or a hair follicle test, or how can I tell some imbalances in everyday symptoms?
Yes, great question. So, one of the things that happens when minerals get depleted is we don't detox as well and we don't metabolize things as well. We become what they call a slow oxidizer or a slow metabolist. So, if you're not detoxing well, low energy, even if you're getting good sleep, you feel that hormone chaos, weight gain, skin issues are big. Skin and acne, because skin is a window to what's going on inside. It's one of our biggest organs. It's a detoxifier. So our skin will often show us brain fog, irritability, food and chemical sensitivities, headaches and joint pain. Let's see, like constipation, irregular stools, all the elimination issues, and difficulty handling stress, that regulation of stress, and then kind of just feeling burnt out. Those are signs of a body that's burdened and probably very low in minerals. It could also be things like headaches. It could be feeling numbed out a little bit, which is actually what calcium does if we have dysregulated calcium. So those are just some of them, but those are big signs that your minerals are probably out of whack or depleted.
Yeah. And so before we dive into the how to fix it, why is this happening? Like, why do we have a mineral imbalance? Or can you touch on like, is it just as we age? Does it have to do with the food we're eating? Why is this
All
happening?
the things, yes, all of it. So the why, I love it. So we need to replenish minerals daily, like it's our job. So after you go to sleep, you're dehydrated when we wake up. What a lot of people drink coffee, right? And that's dehydrating, and we haven't even replenished. So one of the things is we're just not mindful enough. And another big sign is you drink a lot of water, but you're still thirsty. And one of this is a sodium deficiency. So many people are deficient in sodium and potassium, actually, especially women. So the why is we're not the food that we're eating. We can get into the whole food system, and food has changed more in the last 50 years than 500 years before it. The quality of our soil, like all of this factors into it. The fact that we're eating on the run a lot. We're very busy society, so we don't even sit down to like take a breath and eat our food, right? And I'm just as guilty as all of this. I know the things, but I'm not perfect and I have a busy life. But it's all that we're not eating enough nutrient density, and we're not eating enough foods that heal and nourish and replenish the body. And it's not as complicated as it sounds, but there's some just simple things we can do that way. But that is why. And then we're taking electrolyte drinks that they're kind of very heavy in sodium. But the thing about minerals, they're a balance. You don't want mega doses of sodium nor mega doses of magnesium. Like it's good that we know we need magnesium because we are deficient, but there's this balance, like that sodium potassium pump. There's a ratio that makes the cell work. And then when those work, then your calcium and your magnesium get absorbed. And then we can talk about a whole host of other minerals, but those are just the main ones. So it's stress, busy lifestyles, the quality of the food, and then there's the newer addition that depletes minerals is our exposure to EMF and blue light. So that's our Wi-Fi and what we're all doing right now. So, it shows you it's an added stressor to the physiology in our body, and we need more minerals. Then if you get sick, you're burning through minerals like crazy. So yeah, that's the why.
Yeah, I heard Gary Brecka say in an interview like the first thing he would suggest anyone do when they wake up is just drink water with the salt, and he has a very specific salt
Yes.
that he talks about. Can you tell me like should I just go to the salt shaker and like
No, so we don't want table salt. That's a nightmare. Salt has been villainized and it's not really the salt's fault. And we actually need salt. Like just irritability is a lack of salt. It really changes mood. So, Baja Gold, BAJA Gold is a great salt. You can get it on Amazon. But we're looking for mineral rich sea salts, basically. Now there's Celtic sea salt, and there's been some studies that the heavy metals. So it's all about how you source this. Pink Himalayan had its day, right? But pink Himalayan salt, and then they said, oh, we're finding too many heavy metals from the explosives, from how they're mined. So there's this whole thing around salt. It's like everything, right? You think you find the healthy thing, and then next night you hear it's not healthy anymore. And I know it drives you crazy. I'm in this world. But so Celtic sea salt, I think, is still a better bet. But I love Baja Gold and it has been tested. And there's a few others. But you can just take a pinch of that salt when you wake up, put it on the back of your tongue, let it kind of melt as long as you can stand it, and then drink a glass of water.
Mm.
So that's going to help you because that doesn't just have salt. There's other trace minerals in there. So you're getting more than just the salt. So that alone can help you. And putting
Mhm.
salt your water all day long
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
pinch in the back of your tongue.
Baja Gold, that's the one that he referenced. I
Yeah,
was
it's
like,
funny. I've been using that for a while and now it's all of a sudden
now
everywhere. I love
it's
it.
a
Mhm.
thing. I love it. Okay, so now let's go into acting together, like minerals acting together, because you said like there's the pumps in the cells and it's a balance.
Yeah.
And so when I was doing some research, I looked up like if you take iron, you should take vitamin C because iron helps you then absorb the vitamin C or vice versa. And then what are some things that you can do to pair, like if you pair this food with that food, does it really help absorb the nutrients better or how does that?
Yes, it's a bit complicated, but yes, this is why well-rounded diets, cooked foods, cooked vegetables are way better and more healing for us. I think I'll just talk about some of the things we tend to do that block mineral absorption that people don't think about. A lot of people like to put raw spinach in their smoothies or kale, raw. Those have oxalates. It's an anti-nutrient. They block the absorption of a lot of your minerals like magnesium and a bunch of others. When you cook them very well, then they're very accessible. The anti-nutrients are cooked off and they're very good for you. This is the same with nuts and seeds. So if you're using a lot of nuts and seeds in your diet, you really want to soak them or roast them. It's how you prepare the food. And then they don't have the phytic acid or the oxalic acid, and those are the anti-nutrients because they block the cell from absorbing those minerals. So it can be minerally depleted through eating healthy foods, right? So sometimes it's just food preparation. Just to give examples, like nervous system is your calcium and your phosphorus. Like calcium is sedating, phosphorus, which we get from protein, is exciting. So these two minerals is how we know how your nervous system is doing. Sodium to potassium is that pump on the cell. That's the vitality of the cell. And I see time and time again with especially women, it's burned out. It's like there's very little cellular activity left. And then we have calcium and potassium, and that's your thyroid. And then along with that is iodine. So iodine-rich foods like kelp is known to be, and selenium. So you want the selenium with the iodine, the cofactors. Like to make vitamin D, we always talk about vitamin D, and we know to take it with K2 now. However, if your magnesium is not in the cell because your sodium and potassium aren't really working too well and your calcium's out of whack, you can't convert and use the D because D is a hormone. So and it's fascinating. And also then we have sodium and magnesium go together and they fuel your adrenal gland with vitamin C. So there's something called an adrenal cocktail, which is 4 ounces of citrus, like usually orange juice, and freshly squeezed if you can, but it could be orange, lemon, lime, whatever, citrus. And then a quarter teaspoon of the quality salt and a quarter teaspoon of cream of tartar. For those of you who don't know, cream of tartar is potassium. And that is the perfect marriage of the exact amount of vitamin C to the sodium to potassium that the adrenal gland needs to thrive. So if you take that adrenal cocktail, like at the 30 minutes before your afternoon slump, you should get a surge of energy, natural energy, instead of the cup of coffee. So that's I think a more concrete example, but there's so much interplay between and what the minerals are responsible for in the body, and that's why we can't ignore them. They are the unsung hero.
Mhm. Can you repeat that formula just for
Yeah,
everyone
sure.
watching? Like,
Yeah, and there's another thing I want to tell you about what we can do. Adrenal cocktail is one, and I can put a link in the chat from the next one. But adrenal cocktail is 4 ounces of vitamin C. So that's usually orange juice, and you don't want the pulp in this case. So even if you're fresh squeezing, but if not, you can just get a high quality orange juice with the only ingredient, orange. And then a quarter teaspoon of the high quality salt and a quarter teaspoon of cream of tartar, which is potassium, and you just stir it up and you chug it. It's not bad, especially if it's with the orange. I've done it with lemon. It's very tart. But yeah, and that's an amazing thing for a lot of people to try. Now, usually I like to have people's test. Occasionally, some people don't need sodium, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. Occasionally, someone's potassium, there's an issue, but usually for most people, that is a good situation to be trying. And you try it out and see how you feel.
mhm.
Yeah.
And can you talk about, like, because you mentioned again the balance and taking in too much of one thing isn't necessarily, like, it's not going to do anything if you're not balanced.
Yes.
And I was watching a TikTok video. I reference TikTok videos all the time, anytime I do these. So
Learning
sorry.
good things. It's all good.
That's where I do my research. And so I was seeing, and they said that if you take a calcium supplement, people think like, oh, I'm helping my bones out. And everyone knows like longevity is tied to like bone health and all these things, right? Um, how do you feel about calcium supplements? And okay, so my TikTok was accurate. Okay, so can you tell
Good.
us a bit about why calcium supplement might not be the overall
Yeah.
solution for bone
So
health?
it's the bioavailability and how a supplement is made. So supplements are wildly you have to find reputable supplement sources, but they need to bind to cofactors, usually an amino acid, and the amino acid they're using needs to be in a bioavailable form. Calcium, it's from bones and shells and rocks, and it's not very easy for our body to utilize them. So you're way better off getting calcium through your food. So that's, the green leafies, it's the high quality dairy if you can tolerate it. It's in a lot of things. Usually, I don't even worry about calcium. People get calcium. That is usually not the issue. But it's the magnesium not staying in, and then the sodium, potassium. And then there's heavy metals. And so just a little note on heavy metals. We all have heavy metal in us. But one of the things they do in the cell, like if anyone remembers chemistry class way back when, in the periodic table, minerals and metals can be in the same column. And if they're similar enough in structure, if your body doesn't have enough magnesium, but it's similar enough to mercury, it'll kick the magnesium out and the mercury will take the spot. You're like, I'll do those functions on that cell. I'll hang out there. It takes the parking spot. So that becomes another issue with heavy metal toxicity, which I see in everybody. When I do the hair test, we see the metals. And a lot of times, if our cellular vitality is low, our metals stay sequestered because the body can't detox. And this is just a note as a nutritionist. I've done detoxes, elimination diets. But I see now with the hair tissue tests that most bodies are not ready for detox, right? Their liver pathways aren't open. We hear this a little more, like your detox pathways have to be open, like you have to be eliminating, sweating, all the things. But it's a little even more than that. You want to make sure your minerals are robust so your organs are working and we're not stressing them more. Like even intense exercise can deplete us more. It can deplete the hormone, raise cortisol, depletes adrenal glands. So it becomes this, kind of, our body is this like amazing balancing act, right? And we can give it just a little and it can do really well in replenishing. I've seen it. I've seen it happen time and time again with minerals. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And so speaking, you mentioned a little bit about hormones and our body and how powerful like mind body connection is. So can we jump into like as our hormones are shifting, do our mood shift, and then what causes like anxiety and overwhelm? Like it's
Yeah.
all tied together, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, but I can speak to that. They're great questions. I mean, I'll just trying to just think about what I boil it down here. One second, I have notes so I wouldn't go off on tangents too much on the hormone thing. But so basically, when we think about how minerals are influence our hormones, especially when we think about perimenopause and menopause, minerals are the foundational regulators. They drive our enzyme reactions, our hormone production, or the communication between organs, right? So adrenals need sodium, potassium, magnesium, and copper. When they're low, we get that adrenal fatigue pattern, which is fatigue, low blood pressure, salt cravings. We might get that crazy stress response. You feel wired but tired, sleep problems, and then anxiety. So, copper is very much connected to anxiety. And there's a lot of what we call copper dysregulation. If we have a long history of birth control use, we have a lot of synthetic copper in our body. So, it's not the kind we can use, but it can create a host of issues. There's whole trainings you can do just on copper, which is fascinating. But we also need our thyroid to be working well for hormones to work well. So then you need iodine. So most of us have heard, you get your TSH checked, excuse me, but we have T3 and T4. Those just stand for how many iodine receptors, excuse me, are on that thyroid conversion. So you need iodine. And I find most of us are iodine deficient, funny enough now. We need selenium, zinc, iron, and magnesium. Sorry about my voice.
no,
So
no.
many women have hypothyroid when they don't even know it and their blood labs are normal. And I can kind of see it in minerals before the bloods even show that it's happening. And then, so it goes, I feel like I'm going all over the place, but, and then we need all our sex hormones need magnesium, zinc, copper as well. So it's this whole way that your organs communicate through and the minerals need to be on board. So,
Mhm.
and in terms of anxiety, that can be gut health as well. We know that like GABA and serotonin are created largely from the bacteria in our gut, and our gut and brain have their own language and connection. And so as we age, it's interesting as your progesterone decreases, your GABA decreases. As your estrogen decreases, your serotonin decreases. So this is the perfect storm for depression and anxiety. So it's one of the reasons anxiety increases, but also low sodium can give you like panic like attacks. So, and low potassium. And I haven't really talked about potassium. Potassium's like the queen of like thyroid health. So you can have thyroid hormone running around your body, but if you don't have enough potassium on board, it can't get into the cell. It like opens the door for the thyroid hormone. So potassium, we need about 4,700 milligrams a day of potassium. It's another one that supplementation doesn't work very well, like calcium. And
Mhm.
it's because of the cofactors and the bioavailability of them. So it's another one you want from food. So yeah, that's one of, I guess it's maybe it'd be more helpful to tell the other thing. Adrenal cocktail is one thing that any person can do, even if I don't have your labs. But the other one that I pretty much tell all my clients to do is a foot soak. We do salt baths. People think you think of an Epsom salt bath, right?
Mhm.
So it's similar, but your feet, I have, and I'll put my link in the chat and it goes to the recipe and it can come to your desk. It tells you why. But our pores are the biggest pores are on the bottom of our feet. And what we put in our skin is our largest organ, right? So what we put on, most of it gets right ingested right into the bloodstream and it bypasses your gut. Because a lot of times we're taking supplements, we're eating food, but we have low stomach acid, maybe our bacteria is not so great, our tummies are like bloated and we're a little off, right? So you're not getting all of the nutrients out of the food you're eating or all the supplement. You're getting percentages of it and sometimes a low percentage. It shows studies when you're in your 70s, you might be getting 11% of the nutrients of the food you're eating, right? So that's a whole stomach acid discussion, and you need zinc and sodium to make hydrochloric acid. Side note. But what I recommend is everyone do a foot soak. So you can do magnesium chloride, potassium bicarbonate, and borax. And you do a fourth cup of each, but I have how you get it where to get it, the high quality. So people think Epsom salt, and that's great too, but magnesium sulfate is Epsom, and that detoxes us. It helps to take things out of the cell. But magnesium chloride, or they're often called flakes, they help increase the cellular level of magnesium. That'll get the levels up. And it's in a balance with potassium. And then borax, which is boron, which some people know as like MK7 or K2. We've heard of those in the supplement world. They also shuttle minerals in to the cell. So it's an amazing, I tell you time and time again, my clients, the foot soak is what helps them feel better quick, like within that hour to 2 hours, or they sleep better, they manage their stress better, they feel better. I often hear spouses or boyfriends end up doing this. I have a lot of women. I have men in my practice too, but mostly women. And they're like, oh, my husband started doing it. I was at a dinner party and the husband's like, oh, I love those foot soaks. I sleep so much better. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I didn't even know he knew about them. But I'll put that link in here because they're a game changer and they immediately get your level of minerals up in the cell and they bypass the gut. So
And how long should you soak for?
yeah, as hot as you can stand it
Okay.
for at least 20 minutes. Don't waste your precious minerals, but like at least 20, if not 30. So I do them a lot at my desk because I'm going to be sitting here for a while.
Okay.
But it's great to do it a nighttime routine, and you want filtered water, and you also don't want to soak in a plastic bin or an
Mm.
aluminum bin. So I have also on my recipe a link from Amazon of a stainless steel foot basin. A lot of times, you guys, another thing, I see a lot of aluminum show up in people's hair. We get exposed through tin foil, tin cans, deodorants, like medications, the whole nine. But it's often in our cookware, and we think we have stainless steel cookware, but you actually have to put a magnet on it and see if your magnet sticks to your baking sheets or your pans. If it doesn't stick, it's actually aluminum because they often say it's stainless, but it's a combo. And if that magnet doesn't stick, and then you're leaching the aluminum in your food. So that's a side note, but you don't want to soak in glass or stainless steel.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Jennifer asked, what do you think about magnesium foot sprays?
Yeah, same thing. That's that topical, that transdermal way to get it in. I love, here, let me get this in there, foot soaks. So I love magnesium cream, lotions, sprays, oils, whatever. So you might notice anyone who uses magnesium topically, you might itch when it gets on. Anyone itch or burn? So some say that's a sign of magnesium deficiency, and if you use it more, it'll go away. I find the oil itches more than the creams. That's just what I found. I also use magnesium as a deodorant because one of the reasons we smell is magnesium deficiency. So I put that on first. I use a cream because the oil does sting a little more, but also if you've just shaved, FYI, it'll sting. So just don't want anyone getting hurt out there. You just wipe it off if that happens. But yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
what
God.
is the chlorine in the body? Yeah, blocks. I see that question. Iodine. Good one. It's true.
Mhm.
The chlorides and they can do that. So that's why filtered water is better.
And Honey, our CEO, she asks, she gets, oh, this is so true about
Oh,
her
I see.
actually.
Foot cramps.
She gets
That's
foot.
potassium.
Is it so I was gonna ask actually, going back to potassium, how can we get it? Like I think potassium, I'm like, okay, bananas. That's
Yes.
kind of the only thing I know of.
Potatoes, squash, white beans, avocado. Just Google potassium rich foods. I love people to make, here's my hacks, a potassium broth, which is a lot of root vegetables. You can Google potassium broth and you can make that and drink it. There is one thing called, yeah, pickle juice. Yeah, because of the potassium. Yeah. Um, Better if they're truly fermented, naturally fermented pickles, but that's another side. But it cramps, potassium, lack and twitches and heart palpitations, lack of potassium. So that is you just cream of tartar in your water. So I always tell people sprinkle a little cream of tartar in your water with a little bit of salt. So you're always getting a little more potassium that way. Fruit has a lot of potassium, and fruit is the carbohydrate we should be having. And a lot of women on low carb diets are mineral deficient as well.
Mhm.
This happened to me. So fruit at the end of the meal or as part of the meal, not to spike your insulin and everything, but like to have that is pretty important. But yeah, potassium is, there's something called pickleball, which is made by Jarrow Company. And it's the one electrolyte drink that's done correctly because it's got like 1,000 milligrams of potassium in a serving. So that's a little hack if you can't get your potassium up. You can supplement a little bit with potassium, but it really doesn't result in higher levels for the most part. It's food that does it.
Mm-hmm. And how does this apply to GLP-1 users specifically? Because women naturally, right, are low in minerals, and then we have our food system. But
Yes.
on top of that, what about
GLP-1. So the most depleted from taking GLP or GIPs are magnesium, potassium, sodium, calcium, zinc, chromium, selenium, iodine, iron, phosphorus, and boron. And why? We eat less food. So you're eating less food. And and that's really the why. And we don't have necessarily when you're on a GLP-1 or like that those cravings, right? The food noise has gone down, but some cravings are telling us what we need, right? So maybe you're having that steak in front of you and like, I just can't do it. But this is why we have to prioritize protein and you have to force it down because the amino acids that are in animal protein specifically, if you're vegan, you have to be very, very targeted, but animal protein is the most bioavailable. It's high in lysine and taurine and all these healing factors and they're full of minerals. So it's because of the slow gastric emptying and it's because we're eating less. Those are the main reasons why. A little note, because of it's slowing gastric emptying. Um, your stomach acid, I see it chronically. Stomach acid is not good. I can tell by people's zinc levels and their cobalt levels on their test. Cobalt's a cofactor, like a B12 cofactor, and their sodium, because sodium plus zinc equals hydrochloric acid. And I often see that's not working well. So you can just take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in some water like 5 to 15 minutes before you eat meals, and it's going to help stomach acid and also blood sugar regulation. So that's a simple thing that anybody can do because we want an acidic environment. And we drink half your body weight in water a day. We all know this tip. I'm more drink quality water full of minerals because too much water just dilutes your minerals and dilutes your stomach acid. So your stomach, if it's acidic, it's going to fight bacteria. It's going to break down what you eat into those little chains to be absorbed better. It helps absorption, helps everything. So just not drinking a lot of liquid when you eat meals. Now, I know we all go to restaurants, we're given water before we eat, we have drinks while we eat. I get it. But if you can train yourself at least when you're home, to try not to do that and have water away from meals and liquid away, it improves digestion and absorption. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's such a easy hack.
Easy. And the apple cider vinegar is a super easy one.
Okay, everybody knows this about me. Apple cider vinegar, I just nope.
Hate it.
I hate it. What about the pills? Are the pills just
they don't work as well. No, I
dang?
mean they're okay. So not for this purpose of needing that to be in your stomach. So you can do a strong ginger tea before you eat, or you can do something called digestive bitters. You can search them or ask me later. I'll give you, but like bitters you can pump onto your mouth, onto your tongue for like a few minutes, like a minute, 30 seconds or so before you eat. And that also gives the brain, gives the acid to start churning, and it's creating the environment to eat food.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, you mentioned earlier that our cravings are basically our body sometimes telling us what it needs. So can we talk a little bit about like the mind-body connection, how the body self-heals, and how if we regulate our nervous system, how does that affect our
Yeah. So
mineral?
it's funny, I teach a class. It's called the Wellness Blueprint, and my fifth class, it's six classes, and the fifth one is on the gut, brain, and stress. So it is on nervous system regulation. We hear that a lot. It's a buzzword, and I think it's good. There's always trends in health and fitness and nutrition, and I see that this is the new trend, but it's good because we need we need to honor our nervous system. We live in fight or flight, and then we get frozen too when we can't even like regulate in between the fight and flight and the chill out and rest and digest. So the thoughts you think, of course, create your reality. And we have habitual ways we think, and we need to disrupt that pattern. So there's brain retraining. Like I know of something called neurogen. There's a lot of treatments we can do, but even tapping, if anyone's heard of tapping, emotional freedom technique. I take a lot of people through this in my class because it's accessible to us at any time. You just start tapping in certain places, and it can be as little as 3 minutes, and it takes you back into that parasympathetic nervous
Mhm.
system. So, we know about taking breaths. We know there's all this different type of breathing. You can like put your head below your midline during the day to also you can put your face in a bowl of ice cold water. That'll get you into parasympathetic. So there's a lot of little hacks to do. I tend to like tapping. I even have taught my daughter this for anxious time, and there's a way you go through it, and you can look up Nick Ortner is his name. He's like the creator, founder of it, but I teach this in my course as well. Because it's so vital. Like we need to be mindful. I think we live in go, 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 do, do, do. And you're like, people feel like, and I feel often too, like I don't have a choice. I have to get through my day and I'm working and all the things, right? But we do have small choices to take a breath, whether it's grounding outside, getting our eyeballs in the real sun. There's all that circadian rhythm stuff we want to do, touching the earth or a plant or something outside to ground ourselves. But there is probably even 30 seconds in between a meeting or before your next task to just let things go for a minute. Like I
Mhm.
would take a breath right now.
Yeah.
In through your nose, hold it, and out through your mouth. Like that alone can help your nervous system. And it's the HPA axis, the hypothalamus, pituitary axis, like in the body and then we get into the whole vagus nerve. And I teach this too, like when we add the vagus nerve is like it goes everywhere, like branches in the body. So it regulates your digestion and it regulates your hormones, it regulates your heartbeat and like all these things. We want to calm this down. We want to regulate this, right? And that impacts our digestion. And with brain and gut, it's always like, is it a chicken or the egg? Is it the things I'm thinking creating the upset gut? Or is it the bad bacteria and the upset in the gut creating the bad thoughts? And it can go either way. It is chicken or the egg. But our breath, fueling ourselves with good things, replenishing our minerals, these all, and then the thoughts we think, try to keep, I always say, and as a therapist, because that is one of the things I'm trained in, and one of the reasons I changed my practice back to a more holistic, functional, nutrition-based thing is because of the bacteria. We are more bacteria than we are human cells. And if we change the bacteria in our gut, we can change the brain more easily. But I always say, think more about and talk more about what you want, not what you don't want. Our habit is to vent,
Mhm.
is to like manage our stress that way, or to think somehow by looking at the bad, we're not going to be hurt so much if the things go bad, right? So, but the studies show like we want to talk about what we want. Yeah, vent for a second or a minute, but we want to talk more about what we want. So it's even I've had to catch myself. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired today. Like, like in the kitchen in the morning, like, wait, I want to feel more energy. I love when I have more energy. I'd love to feel more energy than this today. Like those little tiny things. And then your brain looks for that, right?
Mhm.
So to me, that's what the gut brain and managing your mind and anxiety, it all goes together. So,
Yeah.
but if your minerals are on board, it's easier. Like if you're low sodium, you're like irritable. Kill someone. Like, you get your blood sugar's dysregulated. That's calcium and magnesium. That's like I'm hangry and I can't handle. Like, it all comes back to minerals. It's
Mm.
fascinating. Mhm.
Yeah. It's because there's so little talk about it too. And or at least for me, I don't know, maybe I'm just not on that side of
No.
TikTok, but
No,
um
it's not widely talked
yeah.
about. Mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
it's so
magnesium is there, electrolyte drinks and magnesium. I mean, there is a little bit. I just don't think the nuance is understood quite yet by the
right.
masses.
How
I did
many?
want I want to make sure we talk about one thing in terms of
Yeah.
using GLP, is detox. Because that is something when I'm helping people that are on these peptides. So when we're releasing fat, what's stored in our fat? Heavy metals, a lot of toxins, right?
Mhm.
So one of the things, and I talked about when minerals are depleted, we don't detox as well, which can lead to a whole host of things. So you know that like skin changes, breakouts, itchiness, like mood sensitivity, sensitivity to smells, the constipation, the sluggish bowels, which are very common when you're slowing the gastric emptying too.
Mhm.
So, aloe, which is also full of minerals, aloe juice as well, is very replenishing, but can also help with the elimination. Something
Mhm.
called slippery elm is another herb supplement, right? You know that one that can help.
In our protein powder.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's great. But I love people to be on a binder. And again, this is more like test, don't guess. This is why I do love to run hair tests and with people because you really want to know what you're working with. And are your metals already coming out or are they dormant right now? But if you're seeing things in your skin, and you're not going to the bath, you're not eliminating regularly, toxins are they're backed up, and then the liver and your bile. So there are a few binders, like people think, what are binders? Charcoal's the biggie. Now, charcoal is like, I always say, if you're not familiar, like if you OD'd and you had to go to the ER, they would pump you full of charcoal. Charcoal binds to everything, minerals included. So I don't recommend charcoal on the regular at all because it's very dehydrating, actually, because it takes everything out. But there's binders, like one is called Pectasol, Pectasol. You can always reach out to me if you want to get it through my full script or help you find the right ones, but it's very gentle. So I feel okay about recommending that to someone, and I don't have your labs in front of me, but it's a gentle citrus pectin, and it's a gentle binder. But we really need to think about binders when we're releasing toxins and releasing fat because we are more toxic during fat loss than we are in other times, right? That's been well studied. And if you're getting skin issues, headaches, joint pain, chemical sensitivity, all the things, you likely need a binder. It'll just help your liver, which is being burdened. So there's also things you can take for liver health, whether it's dandelion root tea or milk thistle and things like that. There's a lot. So this is yeah, I've given you too much, guys. I think it's good, but my brain is like, well, wait. But I do think that being focused on your minerals when you are using the peptides and also focus on a binder and supporting that liver, like far infrared sauna is great, but then you have
Yeah,
to
I
replenish.
wanted to ask about that. Yeah, can you go into the infrared saunas and dry brushing as well if you are
Yeah,
familiar?
all the lymph stuff. So, well, I love infrared sauna, far infrared. It heats you up on a cellular level, not through steam or dry heat, and it's your body's heating up from the inside. So they've tested like people that work out and sweat and they test the sweat versus infrared sweat. It's way more detoxing. You're letting go of metals and toxins and all sorts of junk through the infrared differently than just sweating and exercise. I don't know if you guys have the chain all over the place now, HotWorks. That's an easy one I always recommend to people. It's an infrared workout studio. You get in a sauna room and you either bike or you do a workout. So you can get do
Well,
two things at once, right? Or go to a sauna, or some people buy the saunas or the blankets. But infrared is incredibly healing. It kills bacteria and virus. It's a great thing to add. But there are occasions when people are very depleted, and I get something called a four lows pattern. Like that's maybe once a week because it can just deplete you more. Because when you are sweating like that, you have to be very conscious about how am I replenishing my minerals
mhm.
after I've done this. So it's a little tricky. Again, that's why I like to have the test and see. Yeah, but I
What
love it.
dry brushing? Do you know?
Yes. It's good, and so is lymphatic drainage. But I think the biggest thing that your termini, if you go like this in your body, like that little triangle, that's where your termini are to your lymph system. And you really need to open these up, and you have to do it for about a minute before you do any of the lymphatic drainage,
Mm.
because they all kind of come back, especially up to this side, and they got to be open. So there's this woman I follow on Instagram, or she talks drainage, I think is her handle. She has great things, and she has the big 7 points of lymphatic drainage. But if you're going to do the brushing, the recommendation is here, and you start. I would say people do it wrong, but you want to start closer to your body, and then you move out. Like, so if I'm brushing here, I would brush closer to here, and then I would get further down the arm, and then further down the arm, and then further, and same for your legs. So you start closer to the body. It's like a line of traffic. You don't push it from the end. They're gonna like, doesn't go. You start moving it from here, and then move it, and then move it. So that's my big tip with any type of lymphatic drainage, whether it's dry brushing or manually doing your points. Yeah. Open the term. It's called open your termini first.
Okay, good to know. Shannon asked, you said high quality water. What's your recommendation for that?
Oh, it's such a big question.
There's
So,
so many types of water. I'm a huge water person. I'm a water snob. So,
okay, well, here's what I don't like. Alkaline water. Again, because of the pH, and our stomach acid. Like your blood is going to be tightly monitored. It's not, I used to, I've been down all the science of all the things, and I've tried every trend myself. Just tell you that hydrogen water, alkaline water, all the waters. There's a lot of thing about water. So, but I think basically, here's the thing with water. The first thing you want to do in your household is you want to change your shower water first. That's before even your drinking water. And the studies are that, we know what's in our city waters. Typically, there's a lot of chlorine and fluoride and the PFAS and everything. Like it's a whole thing. So when your pores are open from the heat, right, we're going to absorb everything more readily. And then it's steam. The fastest way into the bloodstream is breath, what we breathe in. So you're breathing in the chlorine in the shower, and then it's hot, and you're absorbing it through so they say it's like the equivalent of drinking like 3 gallons. I can't remember the stat, but it's like drinking several gallons of that water when you take one shower. So get a shower filter. They are fairly cheap. Get them on Amazon. I mean, like maybe $100-ish. I mean, Jolie, Jolie, that's one brand that comes to mind, that they make nice looking ones. They're a little more expensive, but you can get shower filters, right? That helps first. Then you go to your drinking water or your whole house purification system. But you want to get your water tested so you know what's in your water, so you know what type of filtration. You might not have in your water, like different parts of the country have higher levels of things. So you can look at the EWG website, look in your zip code, see what they have. If you're on city water, you can figure that out pretty well. And then you want to go look for those things. Like chlorine is a big one we want to get out of the water. And then you look. So you might use, like I used reverse osmosis for years. However, if you don't have a remineralizing automatic done, that is, this is me, so that you will be very depleted in minerals, because you never really mimic what's in the water. So you have to be careful with reverse osmosis. And then there's the things like the Berkeys or the Burrows, which they keep the minerals intact and take the big things out. Yeah, there's a lot out there about water. Bottled water, of course, is not the best thing in the world. In my course, I give people on my I have a detox your household segment, and I give all my resources for all my water and my filters. But one of the things we can all get is the Mountain Valley water. Seems to be everywhere in the green glass bottles. That's spring water. If you can get real spring water that maybe they've ran it through a carbon filter or something, that's some of the best things you can get. What house filter do you use? Stopped reverse osmosis. Yeah, you can just get a basic whole house filter that'll just, it'll be like carbon and take the big things out. But you still would probably want to filter your drinking water. Yeah, Mountain Valley. Yeah, it's the best. I love it. I see that. And hydrogen water. Yes, there's that whole thing on hydrogen water. I mean, this is a whole other, we could do a whole thing on water.
We could talk about water for a whole segment.
I could.
I don't
And
even know.
Kangen, I see the questions. There's 50-50 on the Kangen. Some people swear by it. Some people say it's too alkaline and maybe that's not good. The IG detox person, oh, I think it's Doc Talks Detox, I think is her name. Hmm. I'll try to find her real fast here. Sorry.
All
Yeah,
right.
Doc, DOC period talks period detox. And she will teach you all things about lymphatic drainage. She's awesome.
Wow.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Like
Okay. So,
Shilajit. Yeah, I like Shilajit and I like humic fulvic acid. So one of the great ways you can get all your minerals and binders is a high quality humic fulvic acid. It's a little hard to find, but one is made by Dr. Zach Bush named Ion Biome, ION Biome. He makes one. It's like dirty water. They dig way down in the desert, like miles down where there's no glyphosate residue or anything like that. And they get water from basically the soil. And that has all the minerals and everything we need in the right balance. So humic fulvic acid and Shilajit, those are all good things.
okay. So I need to change my shower water. I need to drink aloe juice. I need to get Baja Gold salt. I mean, there's so
Yeah, and go
much.
get your foot soak materials. Yes,
But
you're
so,
right. All things you get
I
to
don't
do if you want. But I always say start with one, like rather being overwhelmed. Like I might say to someone, just get a high quality salt in your life. That is a great place to start, and a shower filter. Like those are powerful, powerful things you can do. If you want to do the foot soak, that's the other crazy powerful thing to do. I mean, it really makes a difference. So yeah, I love Zach Bush too. He's awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Katie, thank you so much. I'm like shocked an hour has gone by. I'm like, wait, no. Thank you so much. Please let everybody know if you want to drop it in, or Brenda, if you could drop it in your website. Where can they find you?
Yeah, we can
You're on
drop it.
Instagram,
Yeah,
TikTok.
I'm on Instagram. I'm at KD Lin 12, KDLIN 12. And in that link, the foot soak link, you can find all of my things. So if you go through there and it'll have you, confirm your email that you want to hear from me. And on that link with the recipe, and it's going to give you all the ways to connect with me. I will say my course, I don't always lead it. It's also it'll be recorded, but I really like leading it. And so I'm doing it again right now. We just started last night, so it's not too late to start. I just send you the recording to the first one, which was Nutrition Fundamentals. And we're running the 5 more weeks. So it's called the Wellness Blueprint, which I love to do too. It's my favorite thing. It's basically because it's all the holistic practitioners I talk to all the time. And they're like, oh, I wish we had time to, teach all our clients about all these things. And so that's why I created it. And it's what I teach all my clients. And I just put it into a 6-week course. So I do love that. But let me get you drop this link in here too. That'll help. But the foot soak link, you can find me in that way. That's my.
Perfect.
But thank you all. I know that we went pretty long. Sorry, and I hope I didn't overwhelm. But really take one or two things is always my thing. But if you focus on minerals, you're least aware that this is a thing, and your potassium, sodium, magnesium in your life, you're going to be okay. And a binder. Try to get a binder.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. Yeah, we'll see you next week.